There were several things that I really liked about that video. The founder of 5 Hour Energy seems really relatable and accessible, and even though he makes who knows how much money, he gives at least 90% of it back, and that is super rare. In that trailer for the documentary, he said, if you have wealth, it's your duty to help those who don't, and imagine the world that we could live in if the richest people in the world would just give back a margin of their money. We would be going places, I think. And I think it was really cool that in his startup of 5 Hour Energy, he chose not to compete against the bigger name brand drinks in big cans that are kept in coolers, and instead he dwindled down on competition and thought of a new way to reach more people without having to compete. And one of the biggest things that he kind of reiterated was that he operates out of common sense. He said all we were armed with was common sense, like in the beginning of his business, and I think he just carries that out today and moving forward with the things that he is passionate about. He said the main thing was we just didn't do dumb stuff, and that really differentiated us from pretty much all corporations, which I thought was hilarious. And the word corporation has such negative connotation these days that it was really cool to see a corporation do good, and not just focused on how much money can we make, like what's the next big move to make us profit. I think the biggest point of his speech was don't do useless stuff. Cut out what doesn't make money or what doesn't improve the product and what didn't make the customer happy, and cut out all the useless stuff. He just kept saying that, we didn't do dumb stuff. We didn't do stuff that wasted time. We just focused on what we can do to be useful and make the business simple. And he also said we have to be out there and recognize the need and then do it. And I think it was strong to admit that he didn't really connect or know the needs of the communities that he's helping, so he relied on the people that do, that were already doing good work, and just adopted them. Because he admitted that he didn't know what the best move was, so he just trusted the people that already kind of had a foot in the door in a sense. And he said, if you don't know what you're doing, that's fine. Just find people that do. And I think that's a really strong leader, is someone that admits that they don't know everything. And he did that time and time again in that video. So yeah, I think the main point of that video, the main takeaway was focus on doing useful things. Don't do useless things. I also liked that the prime directive of his company is no aggravation. Working in a place with little conflict is awesome. And at Bard Owl, the restaurant that I work at, whatever problems arise, we talk about them. And that's super rare, I think, especially in the restaurant industry, because can be such a overstimulating, negative, testosterone charged environment. And to be able to kind of take a step back, even if things do get a little heated, and be okay, what was the problem and how do we fix it, is really awesome and really something to admire. And I do admire my bosses for being that way, and I've learned through working there how to hold back my emotions a little bit, but recognize where they're coming from, if that makes sense. If I get mad at somebody for saying something to me a certain way, I want to snap back, but instead I'll take a step back and be okay, why did I hear what they were saying in a negative tone? And a lot of times I'm about to derail here, but it'll be I heard something that they didn't mean, if that makes sense. Like they'll say, hey, you didn't do that right. And I'll hear like, oh, well, I'm a F up, when that's not what they meant, I guess. So I don't even know why I started talking about that, but lest I digress, I'll get back to the point. I also thought it was interesting that he said our job as entrepreneurs is to minimize risk. I never really thought about it that way because in the beginning of our reading through our textbook, we were talking about risk and reward, but you didn't really think, or I didn't personally think of being an entrepreneur that way. Like, what are we doing to minimize risk, to manage risk, to give risk to other people? I just kind of was like, okay, well, risk is just part of being an entrepreneur, but I guess it doesn't really have to be that way if you don't do useless things. And he said that main things you need to succeed are common sense and a sense of urgency, which is also something that I run into in the kitchen. Like, you just have to be with it or you aren't gonna succeed in a like high-paced environment. You have to have a sense of urgency. You have to be go, 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 and you have to just think about things in a way that makes sense. Not everybody has it, so it's definitely cool. This video is really long, and I'm sorry, but I have one more point, and it's that you gotta balance, like I have to balance what I'm learning in school with real life experience so as not to like miss out on the whole picture. And it kind of makes me reconsider like continuing to cook through my college career, which like I'm probably not gonna have the balls not to do because I do love cooking, but it makes me feel like I may be harming myself with continuing to cook because I'm not immersing myself in the area that I'm actually interested in. So it was, I think, helpful to watch that video and like have to think about myself that way. So yeah, sorry this video was so long. I really liked it.